The Pitt faithful have been raring to go all morning as we welcome you to a sold-out Oakland Zoo with the Panthers fresh off of a decisive win in the nation's capital. Today, they welcome Marquette to the Peterson Event Center. It's a Big East clash next on the U. Welcome to the Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy, as we come your way from the Peterson Event Center on the campus of the University of Pittsburgh. It is Pitt Marquette in a Big East showdown this afternoon. Marquette is at 2-0, Pittsburgh at 1-2 in league play. And a packed house here in Pittsburgh at the Pete, the Oakland Zoo, back on campus and back in full effect. I'm Beth Mullins, along with former Providence head coach Tim Welsh. And Tim, it's a Marquette team that's won 4 in a row. It's been a total team effort for them so far this year against a Panther team that's got to have a little momentum coming off of that huge midweek win on the road at Georgetown.
Both these teams have a lot of depth, but they struggle to score at times because they don't shoot the ball very well from the outside. So expect a hard-fought defensive game, a lot of the points in the paint, and maybe more zone than normal because of the lack of three-point shooters. Let's go
one-on-one, or rather one-on several thousand. It's a tough place to come into play here at the Pete. And Marquette is looking for its first road win of the year.
Well, they're a team looking for an identity. They need a go-to guy after losing some stars over the last few years. That's where on the road you need a guy to go to. Down in the low block, and Devontae Gardner off the bench has been an answer for Buzz Williams at times. In Pittsburgh, hey, it's a simple formula when you want to win. It's fundamental basketball, and that's what Jamie Dixon preaches. Assist a turnover, high percentage shots, and defend, 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 punch you in the gut. That's how they beat Georgetown.
The starting lineup for Marquette, some good senior leadership. Cadogan, Lockett, the transfer from Arizona State, and Chris O'Toole in the middle. Vanderblue has gotten better every year, and he's joined by Juan Anderson, the sophomore in the starting lineup. Marquette at 11-3 overall. On the other side for Pittsburgh, a couple of youngsters in the lineup. They look to Trey Woodall for leadership, and then it's Robinson, and then the huge front line of Patterson, Zana, and Adams. The shot-blocking sensation from New Zealand standing in the middle there at 7 feet. Over on the sideline for the 10th year, Jamie Dixon has the best winning percentage in Big East history at 75% of his games in the win column. And for Buzz Williams, well, things are good. 4 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, including the last 2 in a row, on to the Sweet 16. Our officials today, Ed Corbett, Pat Driscoll, and Earl Walton, a veteran crew wearing the striped shirts for us today. Pittsburgh in their home whites, and Marquette in their road blues. Robinson running the show with Woodall. This is a team that distributes the ball, Tim, as well as any team in the country, and they don't turn it over very much. The turnaround no good from Talib Zana. Not many meetings in the history between these two, although it does date back to the 1930s. Juan Anderson, he misses his first shot.
Getting stopped so important for Pittsburgh because they want to run a little bit more than in the past, and they really got out and ran in transition against Georgetown in their win earlier in the week.
Mark Anderson, number 21 in the white jersey for the Panthers. They will set a lot of ball screens today. That was job number 1 for Buzz Williams, how they handle those defensively. Zana tries the baseline. And a foul called on the drive that will go against Marquette. And the first on Chris O'Toole. Check that, it will be on Anderson.
Well, offensive balance is the key to Pittsburgh because they play 10 deep, and those guys will all get their minutes, and guarding the bounce, and that means dribble penetration. Georgetown didn't have a lot of guys that were going to dribble penetrate, but Rutgers and Cincinnati did, and Pittsburgh struggled in both those games, which ended up in losses.
Yeah, Jamie Dixon telling us before the game, we hope that is the team we are for the rest of the year. The one that won at Georgetown, not the one that struggled against Cincinnati and Rutgers. How about on the other side for Marquette today?
Well, they want to get out and run. They like to play that fast because they don't shoot from the perimeter, and they've got to find a little something from downtown to loosen up the defense.
And on the drive, the turnover from Marquette. Buzz Williams also concerned about the glass today. His team has to contend with the 7-footer Steven Adams in the lane.
Pittsburgh traditionally one of the best in the nation at rebounding. They're +8 on the year, but again, they got beat on the glass in their first 2 Big East games, one being here against Cincinnati last week.
Some movement early offensively for Pittsburgh. This is Adams, one of the top recruits in Pittsburgh history, bringing him in from New Zealand. Skip pass, and Patterson fouled on the shot. We'll get a pair at the line. Trent Lockett, the senior transfer from Arizona State, whistled for that infraction.
Pittsburgh clearly wants to get the ball inside, and they understand they're going to attack the interior. They're going to attack O'Toole, and when Gardner gets in the end game, go at him as well. And I really like Jamie Dixon's depth up front. When you can bring a Dante Taylor and a J.J. Moore and a Deron Johnson in off the bench, that's pretty good meat coming in, and I think that's why Jamie really thinks this team is going to be pretty special by the end of the year.
Patterson gets one of his 2 free throws. Lamar making his 50th consecutive start here this afternoon. Marquette trying to get to 3-0 and trying to pick up the road win. Working against the Panther zone. Anderson going to try from 3-point range, and he dials it in.
Well, that's what you'll get against Pittsburgh. You can drive into the gap, into the paint all you want, and the help's going to come. You're going to get attacked. You're going to see 2-3 jerseys. You're going to have to kick it outside. Then you have to knock it down and finish the play, and Marquette did on that possession.
Robinson, the freshman out of Mitchellville, Maryland. One of 2 rookies to start for Pitt. Zana gets into the lane off the left-handed dribble for 2.
Early, they're going to Zana early and often because clearly looks like Anderson is a mismatch over there on the side, and in comes the reserves for Buzz Williams. He sees that clearly from the bench.
Yeah, Zana, the leading scorer, tremendous improvement. Gets beat there on the drive, baseline by Anderson, and coming over to help and committing the foul is Lamar Patterson.
Well, how you beat Pittsburgh's defense is not easy, but the formula is spread the court, try to get into the gaps, and attack back outside before they rotate, because it gives such tremendous help from the inside out that they'll give you the 3-point line for about a half a second. You've got to have your feet set and try to get a shot in rhythm against their defense.
Anderson, the 6'6" sophomore out of Oakland, California, slowed by injuries last season, healthy this year. And immediately we see the depth of the Marquette Golden Eagles. They will bring 4 guys in, and they are 8th best in the nation in bench scoring at 31 points per game.
Pittsburgh has their own ability to go deep into their bench as well. 10 players will play every night, no matter what the situation.
And here comes the 10th guy in for the free throw shooter, Anderson. And we are, just over 3 minutes in, and 10 guys with court time for Marquette.
Everybody loose early with this noon tip.
Oh, we'll keep an eye on Devontae Gardner as well, number 54 in the middle in the dark shirt. One of the more efficient guys in the league coming off the bench. He'll only get about 20 minutes per night. Off the miss, the offensive rebound, and then the strip. Mayo down on the deck to try and keep it alive.
Oh, Woodall got poked right in the eye, and he's down.
And the Marquette player down is their backup point guard, Derek Wilson. I think we're going to see a head-to-head contact here, going for the loose ball right there.
Bodies flying and on the floor, loose possession. And Trey Woodall down as well. Just a bang-to-bang, head-to-head contact.
Top of Wilson's head is gonna catch him right in the jaw. Woodall. Now they will help Woodall off of his back onto his backside as Wilson is able to get up off the court. And some assistance over to the Marquette bench. Of course, Trey Woodall, the senior from Brooklyn, I don't think there's any doubting he is the most valuable Panther this year after he struggled with injuries last season, and Pittsburgh never really was able to recover from that, a season that saw them unable to make it to the NCAA tournament without Woodall in the lineup every day. Well, this would be a good time to go to our Welsh Watch right here, Tim, and talk about the importance of Trey Woodall.
There's a reason, and one reason only, that Pittsburgh had an off year. Was only 5-13 in Big East play. It's because this guy, Trey Woodall, was injured. Good passing, that's what he does. He pushes the ball up the court. He leads them. He's their quarterback, their coach, their extension on the floor. And when all else fails, his ability to switch positions, go to the off guard, and come off screens and knock down jumpers. And he is invaluable for Jamie Dixon. When you talked to Jamie Dixon before the season, he said that, listen, Trey is healthy. That means we're going to have a good season.
He called him the pulse of the team when we talked to him pregame in the Pittsburgh locker room. And the guy not only so valuable to them offensively, but for setting the defensive tempo that is so critical for a Pittsburgh team that year in and year out amongst the best in the conference defensively.
Both players headed to the locker room just to check to see if it's hopefully not a serious head injury.
So it's number 5, Deron Johnson, in the white jersey that will come on for Pittsburgh. And Vander Blue back out there on the court with Cadogan for Marquette. Another substitution will have Trent Lockett, another starter, return to the lineup. Buzz Williams taking full advantage of his substitutions for the full 40 minutes.
Now they'll make Pittsburgh a perimeter team. They play a lot more zone this year than in the past. Marquette's been very effective, especially against Georgetown with the zone.
Johnson's first shot attempt won't go. Rebounded by Marquette. This is Junior Cadogan. Had that huge buzzer beater to tie the UConn game to send it into overtime. Ultimately won by the Golden Eagles to start out the new year. Jamil Wilson, one of their top 3-point threats, knocks one down.
He's the guy they need to light up coming in off the bench. Instant offense. Probably should be a starter, but he's fit in nicely with this role. Gives him more energy. He started slow this year, so Buzz Williams has started to bring him off the bench. So far, so good for Wilson.
Swing it around the perimeter against the zone. Johnson off the bounce, leaves it for Zana. In traffic, won't go. Last touched by Marquette. 8-4, Marquette on top early in this first half. The numbers you need to know when we come back to the Pete. It's melted on a 60-degree mid-January day in the Steel City, and it's an 8-4 Marquette lead, and here are the numbers that you need to know. How about the assists for Pittsburgh? The best assist-to-turnover ratio in the nation, ahead of Notre Dame and Michigan.
Well, that goes with, number one, a healthy Trey Woodall, but also James Robinson, him being a point guard. Pittsburgh, the ability to play 2 point guards together, and also Lamar Patterson as a small forward, just a tremendous skill guy. Kind of had an off shooting year this year, but a good skill guy on the perimeter for Jamie Dixon.
Look at that, Trey Woodall at 3-1 assist-to-turnover margin. He took a knock to the head earlier, went back to the locker room, has returned to the Pittsburgh bench, as has Derek Wilson for Marquette. He also had to go back to the locker room for some more attention. The story thus far, a couple of three-pointers for Marquette. And Pitt has started out 1 of 5 shooting. And we're already seeing a lot of zone.
Pitt will like to X the post. They'll like to get into the middle, into the teeth of that zone, and then try to go high-low. But so far, Marquette bottling up the middle.
Chris O'Toole in there, one of the top shot blockers in the league. Baseline jumper no good. Rebound kicked out to midcourt and off a press row. Last touched by Vanderbloot.
Well, when both teams are a little bit iffy from the perimeter, this is what you have. A lot of deep rebounds and a lot of scrums out on the perimeter for the loose ball.
Fresh 35 for Pittsburgh. Cameron Wright now into the lineup, number 3. Duran Johnson's runner no good. Duran trying to fight for the rebound with Cadogan. They both hit the deck. Both guys okay. Ed Corbett, Pat Driscoll, and Earl Walton quick to make sure nothing comes of it.
Well, another thing that happens when both teams are a little bit shaky offensively as far as putting the ball in the hole is instead of Pitt Marquette, you get Steelers Packers breaking down. But both teams are fighting hard. I mean, it's a clean basketball game, and they're going to get up on the glass. As we said in the open, this game will be played in the paint. So the strong will survive this afternoon here in Pittsburgh.
Another Marquette turnover, and Jamil Wilson taps his chest and says, hey, that's my bad.
Well, Pittsburgh likes to set a lot of ball screens, as Buzz Williams noted to us, maybe one of the top teams in the country as far as numbers of ball screens set. But they set their fair share as well. One of the reasons they're not a great passing team, so they like to attack off the bounce. There you see it, a poor pass on the perimeter.
Well, and Tim, it's not the Marquette team we've gotten used to seeing over the last 5 or 6 years for Buzz with a go-to guy, a legitimate scorer. They're kind of searching for that right now. It's more of a team effort for the Golden Eagles. Well, ACC Sunday Night Basketball is on ESPNU this week. It's Maryland and Miami. ACC Sunday Night Basketball at 8 o'clock on ESPNU and also on the Watch ESPN app. ESPN, the home court of college hoops.
Miami 2-0 with 2 road wins early for Jim Larinaga without Reggie Johnson. So trying to take advantage of getting some wins without their big fella.
Carolina's off to an 0-2 start in the league. Got that huge Duke-NC State game going on right now down on Tobacco Road. 3 turnovers right now for Marquette. There's a look at Alex Lang and Durant Scott coming up tomorrow night on ESPNU.
Kenny Kaji also had a tremendous game at Carolina the other night, and Jim Larinaga has done a nice job of playing through a lot of different situations. This year's injuries, last year suspensions from stuff that previously happened before he got there, and jump out to it. It's always nice to get 2 wins on the road in the league play right out of the gate. That's what they have in their pocket.
Down in Raleigh, by the way, it's a 5-point Duke lead midway through the first half. Blue Devils now one of just 2 unbeatens left, along with Michigan after Arizona got knocked off the other night at Oregon. Robinson, mid-range pull-up, White swooping in for the rebound and the foul, and that's why Buzz Williams is a bit edgy about the rebounding issue today. Second foul on Wilson. And here is a look at some of the teams that were unranked preseason, but not the case anymore, including Minnesota climbing all the way up to number 8.
UCLA, Kentucky. Not even ranked.
Pittsburgh falling out after a couple of losses last week.
And North Carolina as well. Those 3, UCLA, North Carolina, and Kentucky.
We've got more postseason talk, by the way, coming up. Joe Lenardi is in the house. We got some bracketology news shortly.
He's everywhere already. There must be 2 or 3 of those guys. I swear, I think there's 2 or 3 Joe Lenardis.
Several Lenardis running around. Well, of course, a reminder, too, Notre Dame football unranked in the preseason. They ended up playing for the national championship. Will we see something similar in college basketball in March and April? Long range again. Marquette good from deep so far this afternoon. That one coming from Todd Mayo.
Well, there's a guy, Todd Mayo. We talk about a go-to guy. I think they thought maybe he could be one of them. You saw his eligibility issues early in the first semester. He and Vanderblue could eventually be a go-to guys for Buzz Williams.
11-4, Marquette. The strength of some three-point shooting and a zone that so far has frazzled the Pittsburgh attack. 12:30 to go for a Marquette team. We talked about who's the go-to guy. They had a pair of them last year that have both gone on to the pros. DJO and the player of the year last year, the Big East, Jay Crowder.
Big time heart, big time shots at any time of the game for Buzz Williams, and Darius Johnson-Odom just could break you down off the bounce, which is, they don't really have a guy like that. Jay Crowder just doing nice things for the Dallas Mavericks. And Darius Johnson-Odom got released by the Lakers. They should maybe think about bringing him back because he's a good defender and they can't guard anybody.
They need something going on out in LA. For Marquette, the defensive effort has been stellar thus far. The only Pittsburgh field goal at the 17:21 mark, so 5 minutes since the last Pittsburgh hoop.
Well, one guy that can break a defense down, and how you beat a zone is you got to get into the gaps, either the bounce or the pass, is Trey Woodall, and he's still on the bench. So you have to wonder if maybe he's a little bit more shaken up than maybe we thought he was when he came back on the bench, because he certainly could be used right now for Jamie Dixon.
Lob inside, basket and the foul to Dante Taylor, the 6'9" senior.
Well, how you beat a zone is you got to beat it with a bounce into the gaps or a pass. You have to break the seal from the top and go inside, either into the middle of the defense right by the Big East, or if you can get low post presence right there by Taylor with a finish, you go below the defense before they attack.
First foul on Derek Wilson, who has returned to the game after that collision a few minutes ago with Trey Woodall. As Taylor completes the three-point play, and it is the ice bag up to the side of the face for Woodall. It was the top of Wilson's head and Woodall's chin that met going for a loose ball on a totally clean play. And Woodall has not yet returned to the floor.
If you're knocked in the cheek or the chin area, you know, that problem can linger for a day or two and really be bothersome. You just have to numb it for a few minutes before you can get back in the game.
Anderson stepped on the sideline, and that is already 4 Marquette turnovers. The lead, however, is still 4 for the Golden Eagles. And speaking of 4, how about #1 seeds? We'll get them from Joe Lenardi when we come back. 11-7, Marquette with the lead over Pittsburgh. Our ESPN Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. Ben Bowens, Tim Welsh, and of course the king of bracketology, Joe Lenardi, also in the house. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. We were talking about #1 seeds. I don't think it's ever too early to start discussing that, right? Who do you have right now on top?
Well, I think it's pretty easy at the very top. You've got the 2 major unbeatens, Duke and Michigan, of course. And then you go to the Big East, and you're going to go Louisville for now, but it could be Louisville or Syracuse as we move along if Syracuse is healthy. Yeah. And then with Arizona going down in that late game Thursday night, Kansas has moved up, but there's an unusual level of competition for #1 seeds. You've got Indiana, of course, the preseason #1 in the mix. Florida looking very strong in the SEC, and don't rule out Minnesota. The Gophers are very good, but with a big test today at Indiana.
Well, we all know the Big East has had such great success getting into the tournament over the last few years. Where do you have the Big East right now as far as numbers and teams?
I don't think this is going to be a stellar year for quantity of Big East teams. You know, it's been 4 years since the league has gotten less than half of its teams into the tournament. Just 2 years ago, of course, with the mother load of 11 bids. This year, we've got 7 right now, but more teams are sliding down than moving up. Although I'm interested in this Georgetown game concurrent with this. St. John's, the Hoyas apparently are actually putting the ball in the basket today, Tim.
Wow.
So maybe that's a breakthrough for them.
Okay, of course, we're not going to see Connecticut on this list ineligible for the postseason, but you've got Rutgers and Villanova that could possibly bump it from 7 to 9.
A distant bubble, I would say, at this point. Although Rutgers, with a victory over the Pitt team that we're watching, Villanova has won 7 in a row, overachieving, and a great job by Jay Wright in my mind's eye. And Tim, I don't know about you, but when I look at these middle teams in the Big East, I just figure whichever one of them figures out how to score on a consistent basis is going to have a real advantage as we get through the league season.
Beth Bowens, Tim Welsh, Joe Lenardi, our bracketologist, joining us here courtside. Pittsburgh in white, Marquette in blue. Robinson trying to beat the shot clock around and out. Pitt starting out the game just 2 for 11 now from the floor, and they continue to play without the injured Trey Woodall, who took a hit to the head earlier in the ball game. Dugan, nice layoff inside for 2 more for Marquette.
Now, Joe, you see the Atlantic 10 a lot, and the Atlantic 10 coming into the season had a lot of hype with the addition of VCU and Butler. Where do you see the Atlantic 10 right now as far as moving forward into the March?
Certainly the 2 new teams that you mentioned, VCU and Butler, have wasted no time in making a statement. Butler on the road today at Dayton, trying to go 2-0 in the league. I think both of those teams are virtual locks for the tournament. Temple would be next in line on my board, but I wouldn't rule out St. Louis. You know, this is a team that had everybody back, unfortunately, except their coach. The late Rick Majerus played a pretty soft non-conference schedule, but there's a big game at Temple today. That would take them to 2-0 and really make a statement. First team to 50 wins when the Billikens play, kind of like this game.
Joe, obviously a lot of basketball left to play. What are you looking at this time of the year as opposed to late February, or is it kind of the same every day for you when you're putting together your bracket?
Well, I'll tell you, when we get to this point of the year, what I'm most intrigued about are those 2 4-letter words for coaches. Road game.
Yeah.
You get a lot of these teams that don't do much in the non-league in terms of leaving home or leaving neutral sites, and now you've got to go into a place like this. If you're Marquette, you've got to go into Madison Square Garden if you're Georgetown, and so on. And I think that's the separation. Teams that win on the road in big-time leagues, because those road wins are the gifts that keep on giving. You can't get them back if you lose a big home game, right, Tim?
Absolutely, especially in this league. You know, Jamie Dixon talked about how well they played against Georgia, and this is our team, but things can change in a matter of 3 days, or hopefully for him, not an injury today to Trey Woodall.
And I mean, against Cincinnati here in a rare loss at the Pete for Pitt, they couldn't make a shot against the zone. Then they go down to Georgetown, a team that was giving up next to nothing, and scores 70+. Go figure.
Good pressure defense right there from Pittsburgh, and that forces the held ball, and it will go to the Panthers.
I mean, what does Pitt have in this game? 3 baskets?
3 baskets, 1 triple.
Yeah, there are penny teams that score more than that. But they're young, and they're playing a pretty good defensive team, and clearly they don't like playing against the zone.
Moore, a deep look as the zone again kept them away. Another offensive rebound for the Panthers, and a foul down low. So the rebounding offensively for Pittsburgh is getting them to the free throw line at least. That's the first on Chris O'Toole.
You know, things can change. You talked about it so quickly in all the major conferences where there's a lot of depth. And you just, for example, Cincinnati just came in here opening day of the league and put it to Pittsburgh, and then went home and lost 2 in a row, and playing a desperation game tonight at Rutgers, who looked like maybe their season was going the wrong way, and now they've won 7 out of 8.
You throw in the non-league loss to New Mexico, and the Bearcats have lost 3 in a row at home. And you're right, Rutgers is a team to keep an eye on, because it just takes the one breakthrough win, in their case beating this Pitt team over in Jersey, and all of a sudden you think, hey, we're in this thing. And if we can just kind of bump along, win our home games, stay around 500, maybe make a run late, get 1 or 2 games over 500 in the league, and all of a sudden we're on the right side of the bubble heading into the Big East tournament. I would not rule out any of those teams in the middle of the league moving up, and I wouldn't rule out teams like Pitt and Marquette, frankly, moving down if they can't defend their home court. Very dangerous game today for Pitt.
Here's a look at how the top 8 breaks down. Syracuse hosting Villanova without James Sutherland. The breaking news overnight that Sutherland will be out indefinitely with an eligibility issue. Louisville, Notre Dame, Marquette, and Nova all 2-0.
And the Sutherland absence might preclude Syracuse from being, you know, a 1 seed or a 1 or 2 loss team heading into March. But certainly they're not going to fall off the board. It's just a question of does that open the door for Louisville to really run the table in the league and maybe be the #1 overall seed in competition with Duke.
Another triple from Marquette.
That's what's been lacking
4
all
of 5,
season long.
Jim. Yep.
You talk about Todd Mayo and Vander Blue. Those two guys can be the go-to guys. And today, Marquette playing with tremendous confidence, shooting and defensively really pesky on the perimeter.
Coaching the 8-minute timeout. Joe, any final thoughts on bracketology on a big weekend around the country?
Well, it is the first huge weekend where all 31 qualifying conferences are in league play. Even the Patriot and the Ivies get involved today. It's never really January, Tim, until Penn plays Princeton, right? And that's happening later today. But, you know, when you talk about the #1 seeds, and Beth, that was your first question, everybody wants to go to the Big Ten, and certainly they could get more than one. That wouldn't be uncommon, but they could also beat each other up so much that they don't get any. We've seen that before.
Runner in the lane is good from James Robinson. 5 assists on 5 buckets for Pittsburgh today. Well, speaking of 1 seeds, last check, Duke was up 2 over NC State, and Indiana up a dozen in their matchup. And a player down is Junior Cadogan for Marquette. Pittsburgh playing 5-on-4, and then a held ball. We'll stop the clock, 7:58 to play. And for the second time today, a man down for Marquette, and that is the 6'1" senior from Toronto, Junior Cadogan. Looks like he twisted his ankle on the jump. Teams have gone to the huddle as Cadogan gets some attention. We will take a timeout as well. Thank you so much, Joe Lenardi, talking a little bracketology, the PhD courtside.
You bet.
Yeah, guys.
16-13, Marquette with the lead. Junior Cadogan, and a hug for his mom, Suzette, who was down to check on her son after he got hurt on that last play. And Junior returning to the huddle as mom heads back to her seat, and now Cadogan will leave his teammates and he will head back to the locker room. Injured on that last elevation that he made. This was earlier. That's the backup point guard, Wilson, and the starting guard, Trey Woodall, for Pittsburgh, who still hasn't returned yet. And now on that last play, Cadogan, and on the landing, ended up on the foot of Lamar Patterson, and what certainly appeared to be a twisting of the ankle.
During that timeout, Beth, we took a walk over to the Pittsburgh bench, and their medical staff has informed us that Trey Woodall is out for the game. He's been diagnosed with a concussion.
So Woodall done for the day after the head-to-head collision, diving for the loose ball. Nice backdoor move by Gardner. Give the assist to Juan Anderson. How about 6 assists on 6 baskets for Marquette, and they've hit 4 of their 5 three-point attempts.
Well, traditionally, over the Buzz Williams years, they make the extra pass. A lot of assists per field goals made. That's what they're doing today. They're making an extra pass to make Pittsburgh's defense really work and not rotate on the weak side.
An already young Pittsburgh team has gotten younger. 3 freshmen will be on the floor together at times. Shot clock winding down. Good ball pressure from Marquette. Tough shot for Zana, and Ziegler is there for the tip-in. Offensive rebounds keeping Pittsburgh alive right now.
The only way they're going to be able to hang in this game without Trey Woodall is make it up, muck it up, play dirty, get into the lane, second and third effort, get up on the glass. That's what Ziegler did on that possession.
6-0 boards for the Panthers here in the first half.
Yeah. Proficient offensively, you've got to make things happen sometimes just by the extra effort, and that's what Ziegler did.
And sometimes when you're struggling, that second shot can be a better one than your first, as we've seen today from Ziegler and company. Substitution will get Cameron Wright into the lineup, the sophomore out of Cleveland.
That's where you have to give Jamie Dixon credit. He's stayed with his depth and gone with his youth all season long, and now they're going to really have to answer it this afternoon.
Way short on the shot from Vanderblue. Last touch by Marquette. Jerry Wainwright, one of Buzz Williams' assistant coaches, former head coach at DePaul.
Keeping Pittsburgh out of rhythm, changing defenses almost every other possession.
That is the first on Devontae Gardner. This Marquette defense holding Pittsburgh to under 30% shooting here in the first half. And now Steven Adams to the line, 6:30 to go in the half. Pitt 1-1 the rest of the way. Adams, the 7-foot freshman from New Zealand. He's in the pool with the New Zealand national team. And he's going to get called for the foul there. The inadvertent hand to the face, trying to get the missed free throw attempt. That's his second.
Now that's one thing. That's the part of the learning process. When you're a big guy, use your fouls properly, and that's not a way to use your foul on a missed free throw. Come in on your own missed free throw, come in from the free throw line and bang somebody over the back.
You're already down a starter with Woodall done with the concussion, and now Adams may be done for the rest of the first half with fouls. Blue using the screen out top, and the nice runner for the lay-in.
That's unacceptable if you're Pittsburgh to let your team get all the way to the rim, and that time the rotations were slow, and Blue made him pay with great balance.
Blue, the two-year starter out of Madison, Wisconsin. He's been their leading scorer this year at 13 a game.
You see that here, Pittsburgh running their offense way out on the perimeter. Marquette now not allowing anything underneath the three-point line.
Right, fades away, Gardner with the rebound.
Somehow has to get in it. They have to get into the gaps, maybe with a bounce pass into that mid-post area.
How's that for efficient? Hitting on 7 of their 10 shots in this first half. The forced pass inside picked off. Transition opportunity here for the Panthers, and that's what Jamie Dixon wants to see more of.
Well, they're especially going to have to do that today because they struggled against the zone. Push the ball up the court before the zone gets set. That time Patterson had a wide open look, got it in rhythm.
The kick out, Anderson open for 3, and he's got another one. 5 for 6 from downtown for Marquette.
That was execution at its best. The ball moved faster than Pittsburgh's players could on the weak side. They got it down to the baseline and reversed it back up top before Pitt could rotate back to the perimeter.
Marquette able to handle that ball screen, and Wright trying to flick it inside, picked off. Vanderblue fouled on the drive.
Well, Pittsburgh wants to run up the floor when they can. First, they have to get stopped. They haven't got enough of today, but when they do, they have to make Marquette pay by not letting them set up their D. And then Marquette doing a nice job of seeing them drive into the gap. And as they drive into the gap, Pitt's defense just swarms the basketball. So what's open? The driving kick back to the weak side.
Was it no go-to guy, or they're all go-to guys this year for Marquette? They've been sharing the wealth. You got 4 different guys with a three-pointer already in the first half, and here comes that, what they often refer to in Milwaukee, jumping over the boards, the line change at a hockey game. Vanderblue unaffected by the air ball chance. And a big lineup for you today. Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. 3 more for you. First the SEC, Florida LSU, then St. Louis Temple, and then out west for Arizona and Oregon State. ESPN, the home court of college hoops All of that available on the Watch ESPN app as well.
Marquette is just standing in the paint and daring Pittsburgh to shoot from the outside, but they're doing a nice job of rotating back over.
Patterson, that time able to use the nice screen from Dante Taylor. He's got 7. Otule got Taylor deep, couldn't finish. Offensive rebound for Marquette. Steve Taylor had it knocked loose. Under 4 in the first half, a 3-point Marquette lead. Now to the studio. Find out what's coming up at the intermission.
That's so good, guys.
Thank you, Dari. Back here in Pittsburgh, a 3-point lead for Marquette, even though they've shot 61% from the floor and have held Pittsburgh to 36% shooting as we go inside the play.
Well, the problem, Beth, that Pittsburgh's had is they haven't moved the ball quickly enough. They've been holding the ball, and what that allows is Marquette to get up and get into people as they move the ball. Now, in this possession, though, they do a good job of ball faking, and at the top, they set that screen, and you need to screen, and you need to get the ball inside by way of the pass or the bounce. They struggled with the bounce, but a better job with the pass. But still, holding onto the ball is a little bit of a problem. If you hold it a half second too long, then that allows that defense to shift and recover and close those gaps quickly.
We're showing you Trey Woodall on the bench, and unfortunately for Pitt fans, that is where we are told he will stay the rest of the day. After a collision head-to-head earlier in the game, Woodall out, and the drive by Todd Mayo for 2. He's got 5 off the bench.
That's very rare, and it's happened a couple times. Once with Blue, once with Mayo, driving all the way from the three-point line on ball side and getting to the rim without any resistance. That's not Pitt's traditional defense.
4 2-pointers, 5 3-pointers in this first half for Marquette. And another foul will send the Panthers to the line. The other injury update is Junior Cadogan, who had what appeared to be a twisted ankle, had to head back to the locker room. He has returned to the bench, and now he is up off the bench to check back in.
Well, we talked about Mayo and Blue not allowing them to get to the rim, and that's rare against a Pittsburgh type defense, but it's easier said than done. Those two guys are very good out off the bounce. They find angles, they have tremendous body balance, and today they have that ability to knock down shots too, which has made them very hard to defend. But having said that, Pittsburgh has struggled guarding quick guards. They did against Cincinnati, and they did against Rutgers guards as well. So that could be an issue moving forward, something to watch today.
Interesting, Tim, how you hit that 3-pointer early and the defense has to come out at you, and then the dribble drive is wide open.
Well, if you have good balance, you're a tough basketball team, and Marquette, when they struggled to score, hasn't had balance from the perimeter. Today they're getting scoring from all spots on the floor.
That was one of your keys to watch for as we tipped off this afternoon. Cadogan testing out that ankle on the spin, won't go. Rebound, Deron Johnson. Patterson. Zahn had it, and then had it knocked out of his hands.
Jamie Dixon likes Deron Johnson a lot for the energy he brings and the ability to get out in transition, but I don't think he liked that shot. It was maybe just a little bit too quick for his liking.
This is Johnson, ball in hand. One of 5 new guys in the rotation this year for Pittsburgh. Ashton Gibbs and Nasir Robinson moving on after last season. And for the first time in 11 years, they didn't go to the NCAA tournament. Trying to get back this season.
Well, that was great execution by Pittsburgh. Screened the bottom of the zone, just couldn't deliver on the shot.
Gardner, they bring the double from the perimeter. The takeaway, 3-on-2 break. Johnson swoops in and uses the left.
That's right, Jamie Dixon loves Johnson. That energy and athleticism in transition.
7 Marquette turnovers in this first half, helping Pitt stick around.
Well, Gardner's got to handle that trap on the box a little bit better. He's got to get rid of the ball and try to find an angle to the rim quicker.
the bounce. Blue lays it off for Gardner and a foul.
Well, Pitt, when you can't score against the zone, you've got to beat it in other ways, and that's running and getting numbers. And Johnson so good athletically at getting his body to the rim, and a nice delivery by Patterson playing the point forward spot.
Gardner to the free throw line. He's a good free throw shooter for a big guy. 84% on the season. And that last foul was on Lamar Patterson. So Patterson will join Steven Adams on the bench with 2 fouls each in the first half.
Well, that was slow rotation by Pittsburgh, but it was ignited by Vanderbilt breaking the defense down again off the bounce. Pitt has got to do a better job of slowing down dribble penetration.
Adams only 9 minutes in this first half with a couple of fouls. So Pittsburgh right now has 3 starters on the bench for different reasons. And one for Johnson.
Johnson has that ability, as we said, to find that angle, but he zigs and zags and slithers, and he's a good-looking young freshman. A lot of energy. He kind of plays out to his own, beats to his own drummer out there on the floor. A lot of energy and shoots quick, runs, wants to play that up-tempo style. And Jamie said, that's okay if you can finish like that.
I see why Dixon prefers that kind of maneuver to the 3-ball that was a little bit out of his range.
He's really helped them. He's active on defense as well, and kind of injected a lot of energy to the team and to the fans.
And they've got their first lead since they were up 2-zip. On the drive, and the floater good from Vanderbilt. He's got 8.
Defend the bounce. Jamie's going to make these guys get into a stance at halftime on the perimeter, because Vanderbilt and Todd Mayo are just killing them off the dribble.
See if they go back to Johnson. He scored their last 7. He's the number 5 jersey in white. There he is. Johnson looking for 3. Around and out.
That was a nice play, though, on the throwback before Marquette could adjust the rotations on the backside. He had a great shot in rhythm.
Cadogan. Offensive foul. I think they're going to count the basket. It is good. Now Ed Corbett over to the scorer's table. Basket's good, offensive foul, and a one-on-one at the other end.
I think he said Cadogan released the ball, which he did, and then banged into Moore, which is a very good call by the veteran, Eddie Corbett.
There you see Eddie on the right side calling for the charge. So the 2 points and the foul to Cadogan, and the 1-and-1 for J.J. Moore. 85% free throw shooter on the season.
Very rarely that you see that call made, but this is the proper call, that Cadogan releases the ball before contact, and Moore has his feet set and established outside the restricted area.
Pittsburgh has made 7 free throws in the first half, but they've also missed 6. As Moore gets the front end, and Buzz Williams is checking with Pat Driscoll about the math on that one, but the guy's got it right.
One of those tough calls that both coaches are happy and both coaches are mad.
They each get a couple of points. Junior Cadogan's the only one scratching his head. Hey, wait a second, I just picked up my 2nd foul for no good reason. You can see he is definitely favoring the ankle that he hurt earlier in the game, but he's back out there, had it retaped and returned.
Now Pitt's showing their version of a little 2-3 zone.
40 seconds to go in the half. And a timeout called by Marquette. 31-30 our score, and a couple of pivotal plays unfortunately involved some injuries in the first half. The collision between Woodall and Wilson. Woodall out for the rest of the game. And then
originally we thought that Trey Woodall may be coming back, because he did come back to the bench quickly, and your point guards go down. Got to adjust your thinking as a coach. Cadogan's trying to hobble through it right now with the ankle.
And an assist from his mom, Suzette. He came down out of the crowd, down to the bench. Junior had to go to the locker room, but was able to return. Marquette shooting 64%, including 5 of 7 from downtown in the first half. But Pittsburgh doing it, forcing some turnovers, getting on the glass.
I can tell you one thing, a lot of guys won't play hurt, but that man right there, number 5, I think he would play with his leg in a cast. His toughness has never been questioned at Marquette.
Had to overcome an Achilles injury as a freshman. And a foul on the floor on the rebound. Otule fouled by Trey Ziegler with 28 seconds to go, and the shot clock is now off. That's the second on Ziegler. And Otule to the line. It's a less than 50-50 proposition for Chris at the stripe this year. Otule gets the first to go. Steve Taylor onto the floor. Anderson will check out.
Interesting to see here, Beth, what Buzz Williams will do on this last defensive possession. Clearly the 2-3 zone has bothered Pitt more than their man-to-man, but you still like to keep the pressure up and maybe create a late turnover to get a bucket back.
Shot clock off here at the end of the half.
And Marquette is in their pressure man-to-man from the perimeter. Some teams will like to fall back to 2-3 at the end of the clock. Look for Marquette to try to overplay and get a steal.
And Pittsburgh does not have Trey Woodall in the game. Out with the concussion. It's going to be Robinson off the bounce. In traffic. Johnson somehow muscled it up, and then the tip by Zana will be waved off. Basket interference, and it looked like it may have been bouncing in anyways.
Well, one of the toughest calls in basketball. I wouldn't want to earn my living trying to figure out this call. And it looked like half the ball was still on the cylinder. Good call by Pat Driscoll. When points are so hard to come by, that's why your emotions get so high-strung. Jamie Dixon was so upset there, but Pat Driscoll had a much better angle than he did.
Final 2 seconds of the half. Gardner launches from midcourt for 3. Almost got it. A hot shooting first half for Marquette and a strong zone defense as they hit 5 3-pointers and shoot 61% from the floor. And they take the 33-30 lead into the locker room as we join Dari back at the studio. 3-30, Marquette with the lead over Pittsburgh. Beth Mowins along with Tim Welsh. And unfortunately for the Panthers, just 4 minutes into this game, Trey Woodall knocked out of the game with what appears to be a head injury, a concussion, the word from the sideline for the Panthers. So Woodall done for the rest of the day. On the floor for the remainder of that first half, awfully good 3-point shooting for Marquette, and that's what has helped them to this lead.
Well, they've struggled offensively this year because of the fact they don't have balance. They've gone inside, they're good in transition, but they haven't had consistent perimeter shooting, and today they got it right out of the get-go. They beat they beat Pittsburgh off the bounce, but they did it because they dribbled into the gaps, they reversed the ball quickly, and then they made shots. I mean, they've had open shots all year long. They haven't been able to knock them down, and today even Anderson, who's only made 4 all season, has made 2 in the first half, so that certainly loosens up the defense. And for Pittsburgh, coming the other way, they've struggled against the zone. And when they have been able to attack, it's because they got the ball up the court before Marquette set its defense. They're going to have to continue to do that without Trey Woodall running their half-court offense.
They will go with Deron Johnson to start out this second half in Woodall's stead. And the other injury in that first half was the ankle of junior Cadogan, who was able to return to the court. He will not start on the floor here in the second half. And we are told from the bench for Marquette they will have to try and manage his minutes in the last 20 minutes here today. Steven Adams going right to work with the lay-in. He only played 9 minutes points in that first half with foul trouble.
That's why he's got to stay in the ball game. Can't commit silly fouls like he did in the first half because he's so important an inside presence for Pittsburgh.
Rocket, Anderson, Blue, O'Toole, and Derek Wilson now at the point. This is him with the ball, blocked by Zana. Pick with numbers, Patterson to Johnson. Can't get it off the window, keeps it alive though. Fall away from Zana, won't drop.
Johnson, a little too much flair on that layup. He's basic, 2 steps, lay it up with the right.
Johnson, Adams, Robinson, Zana, and Patterson out there to start the half in the white jerseys for Pitt. Marquette looking for its 5th win in a row, trying to get to 3-0 in the league, and also seeking its first true road win of the year here this afternoon. And Adams, if it's on Steven, that's 3 on the big fella.
It's part of the learning process. Probably the last piece that big guys pick up is being able to figure out when to go, when to slow, and that would happen to be on Zana.
Unfortunately for Pittsburgh, that will be the first on to leave as O'Toole hits the free throw.
But again, the problem for Pittsburgh on that possession, letting Marquette get deep into the paint off the dribble from the perimeter. They've got to do a better job of containment on the outside.
Offensive rebound, Anderson gobbles up the miss. Blue taking it right at the big guy, and Adams had to stay away with the fouls.
Able to get there and defend the rim, but he was slow getting to the spot. He was late, and he had a bad angle, so he had to back away.
Blue now with 10 points for Marquette. Zana trying to get position on Anderson. Help comes from O'Toole, and the pass knocked out with 8 seconds on the shot clock.
Good job by Marquette, realizing recognition on the rotations on the backside. Lockett slid there just in time to take that pass away to Adams.
Three off the mark. James Robinson, and now Blue with the push. Blue goes to the left side. Foul called, trying to hold up Vander's drive.
Vander Blue just off the bounce, just 2-3 dribbles at the top, a simple crossover, and James Robinson not able to guard him one-on-one from the outside.
Foul called on James Robinson, his first.
You think these guys study tape? They do. Williams saw the Rutgers game. He saw Rutgers guards, Seegers and Mack, be able to go right by Pittsburgh's guards from the perimeter, and that's what they're trying to do. They're getting right out of their offense and just taking Pitt one-on-one.
I think it was a number issue that the officials, and now it looks like it will be moved over to Patterson with the reach-in, number 21. With the foul, and for Lamar, that is his 3rd, so that's a big switch. Patterson claiming he was off the ball, but he reached in with the left arm, and now Patterson will check out.
I never understood why the officials had to go to the tape to figure out who the foul was on that they just called. So I guess that's what they were doing.
Well, the result, Tim, a young Pitt team has gotten a lot younger. And the takeaway for the Panther defense, 8 Marquette turnovers. Adams bumped off the block by O'Toole and a foul. That's the second on Chris.
Depth of Pittsburgh has been one of their strengths all season long, and today they're going to have to go deep into their bench to use it by way of foul trouble and the injury to Woodall.
Ziegler off the Zana screen.
That's what Trey Ziegler can do. He's got that nice medium game, but Marquette's got to get up on his right hand because he is strong all the way right.
Wilson, strong drive to the rim, won't go. Wrapped up by Ziegler. How do the offenses operate in the second half without their floor generals? Both Cadogan and Woodall out of the game right now. Woodall done for the day. Cadogan, not sure how much we'll see of him with the ankle injury. Zana front rims it. Down on the deck, and a held ball will go to Marquette. Buzz Williams calls the timeout for Marquette. They've got 3 left. They've also got a 2-point lead early in this second half. Welcome back to the Peterson Event Center here in Pittsburgh. Marquette with a 2-point lead over Pitt early in this second half. Well, we've got 3 top 10 women's games for you tomorrow on ESPNU. 9th-ranked Tennessee taking on Florida at 11:30 Eastern. Then 6th-ranked Kentucky and Missouri. And the 2nd-ranked Fighting Irish and Notre Dame taking on Rutgers at 3:30 ESPN, the home court of college hoops. Baylor back to the #1 spot in the nation after Notre Dame won in Stores to take out UConn. Handing the Huskies their first loss of the season. Duke, the lone undefeated on the women's side. The undefeated Duke men right now trailing NC State this afternoon. They are down 6 in the second half. Lockett pulls up and hits. Interesting on that timeout, by the way, Tim, just 16 seconds before the media break was coming, Marquette uses one of their TOs.
Well, they tried to get the loose ball there. It was a good hustle play, but they did have possession of the ball. To me, that's way too early in the game to be burning a timeout just for a possession on the floor, which they would have regained anyway.
Cameron Wright knocks it down for 2. Georgetown was a winner earlier today against St. John's. Syracuse up just a couple of buckets on Villanova in the second half.
Well, Adams just letting Gardner catch the ball, but his length and size clearly just bothering him, pushing him off his sweet spot in the lane.
Wilson can't knock it down. Second chance blocked by Adams and a foul. The 3rd on Steven Adams. Timeout in Pittsburgh. 38-36 Marquette, and a couple Panthers in foul trouble. 38-36 Marquette with the lead over Pittsburgh. Just over 15 minutes to go, and an update for you on the remaining unbeatens. Duke trailing NC State down at Raleigh in the second half this afternoon. Michigan on the road tomorrow at Ohio State. Lone unbeatens left, and just before our last break, the second Panther starter in foul trouble as Adams picked up his 3rd and what looked him to be a pretty clean block.
He's got his hand down right here. Jamie Dixon wants him to play a little bit bigger up top. You see, he kind of shies away from the play. Probably could have got in the mix for the rebound, but he's so big and immense that those block shots come so easy, but they look almost like a foul. But right there from that angle looked pretty clean.
Adams sitting with 3. Lamar Patterson sitting with 3. And Trey Woodall out with the concussion. So 3 starters down right now for the Panthers.
Again, that's what we talked about in the first half. That's all part of the teaching, the learning experience for a young freshman. That foul's okay. It's okay. You don't mind that foul in the game, protecting the basket. You're going to get some fouls like that. Maybe it's a 50-50 call. But it's not a problem if he doesn't foul somebody on a missed free throw in the first half when he missed his own free throw and comes crashing in from the foul line. So you got to preserve your fouls for stuff like that happens in the mix in the scrum around the basket when you're a big guy.
Marquette also working an issue in the second half. Derek Wilson defending on the ball right now, replacing junior Cadogan, who may be limited in his minutes after an injury in the first half. He has not played yet here in the second.
Well, so important, the point guard position for all teams in college basketball. But these two teams, I mean, senior veterans out there, everything revolves around those two guys. Even though Robinson starts at the point for Pitt, Woodall's the guy. He's their quarterback, and so is Cadogan for Marquette.
Right with the spin, the nice drop off, and the missed chippy down low from Taylor.
Hey, your coach, how did you miss that? You're a senior, dunk it. That drives you crazy.
Gardner again, they immediately bring the double to force Devontae to give it up. And the missed jumper from Wilson. Moore, and the block that time from Wilson. Marquette looks to run. Blue, they opened up the left side. A couple of good screens from Marquette. And Vander with the finish. He's got a dozen.
Well, this is defense going to offense at its best, and Marquette has played energized on both ends of the floor. You see the great contest on the perimeter by Wilson. They get it up the floor, and then attacking the rim, Vanderblue with no resistance. And Pittsburgh, nice screen there on the backside. Trent Lockett, that won't be in the stat sheet, but he kind of screened off Robinson as his backcourt mate, Blue, just found an opening to the rim.
Vander looked like he had a kickoff return for a touchdown on that one. That whole left side opened it up for him. And Marquette on the season, 47% shooting, 56 today. It started out with terrific three-point shooting, and that has opened up the floor somewhat for them.
Well, they're moving the ball with efficiency from side to side, both off the bounce and with the pass. They have good spacing. If you don't have good spacing against Pittsburgh's defense, you won't score. And today they're attacking. They've got all spots on the floor covered, and they're scoring from in transition, inside, and also from the three-point line.
Well, and as you just noticed, Jamie Dixon making the decision to bring the big guys back into the game with the 3 fouls each. Adams and Patterson return, number 13 and number 21 in white. Patterson, nice head fake. And knocks down the deuce.
That's a veteran play right there. Great body control, square up, pump fake, and locked it down.
Blue into the lane, offensive foul. Robinson over to help and take the charge.
Well, this is a better defensive set here by Pittsburgh. Here's what they do at their best. They swarm the basketball. When you see this and read it as an offensive player, you've got to be ready to kick it out, and that's why Buzz Williams is hot on Vander Blue. He said our strategy is when you see those white shirts come at you, you've got to kick it to the outside. That's what they did in the first half. That's why they had so many open threes.
Number 5 of 8 from three-point range in that first half. 0 for 1 in the second. Now Pittsburgh back on the attack. Adams calling for it. They've got him isolated. Now the help comes from Wilson. Adams knocked out of bounds by Mayo.
He's got to have some help down there because his teammates have to see that he's pushed off his sweet spot, and he goes into his second dribble. He's got no angle to the rim. He's got to find somebody open on the perimeter. That time Pitt was late coming over to help.
Foul on the inbound. That'll be on Derek Wilson, the Marquette point guard, and now that is 3 on Wilson. So 3 on Wilson with Cadogan sidelined right now. Adams trying to wrap up the miss and taken away by Otule.
Good job on the block out there by Otule, forcing Adams out.
Wilson, there's the kick out to Mayo for 3. And an over-the-back foul going to be called on Chris O'Toole, and that is his third.
Well, when you drive from the top against Pittsburgh's defense, they're going to come and attack you from the middle. You can get into the gaps from the wing, but when you come from the top, you've got to be able to drive and kick out to the three-point shooter. Pitt's doing a better job now of bottling up the lane and protecting the basket.
Trying to rifle it through 5 defenders. Here is the recent development now on the Marquette sideline. Cadogan has been trying to talk and muscle his way back into the game, and Buzz Williams told him to get behind the bench. And he is over there coaching and directing traffic and doing whatever he can right now to try and help out his teammates. Limited by the first half injury.
Well, that's his mom, but his dad on the sidelines over there, Buzz Williams, I think he refers to Junior as one of his sons. He thinks the world of that guy right there for what he's done and what he's gone through to get to this point in his career, and just the heart and soul of this program begging to get back in. That's what you just love as a coach, if you have a guy like that.
Buzz was literally boxing him out. Cadogan was trying to sneak past him to get to the scorer's table. They have been able to maintain the lead without him as Wilson runs the show. Gardner, somehow the ball found its way to Devontae, and he lays it up and in.
He's got those big mitts. He just swarmed it and grabbed it and snared it, and Adams a little delicate in there with the 3 fouls.
Marquette to the 2-3. Mayo almost jumped the lane. Patterson for 3, got it.
There's a coach's nightmare when you coach a 2-3 zone. The first thing you tell your guys is, listen, you have to guard the guy with the basketball. He's the only guy that can score. That time they backed out, played the passing lanes, and left Patterson wide open.
Gardner wants it, working on Adams with 3 fouls. They can't get it to him. Mayo into the lane, and Adams up to get it, and a foul on Marquette. First foul on Todd Mayo. When we come back to Pittsburgh, we'll update you on the finalists for the Wooden Award. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, and a 3-point lead for Marquette over the Panthers. Just under 11 minutes to go as Marquette tries to get to 3-0 in the league. How about an update on the John Wooden Player of the Year Award? 25 finalists named yesterday, and this is the fivesome from the Big East.
Russ Smith, just out of nowhere, Rick Pitino. And anything Rick Pitino does better than any coach in the country is player development. And the scary thing for the Big East is that Rick's teams usually get better from February to April.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen the best of Louisville yet. And with Georgie Jang been out a significant amount as well, just gives them that inside presence. We all know where they're ranked, but I think they're scary good right now. I think they could emerge as a national favorite to win it all said and done.
Otto Porter and the Hoyas, they got a win earlier today over St. John's. Michael Carter-Williams in Syracuse, just a 2-point lead over Villanova up at the Dome midway through the first half. And it is certainly looking good right now for North Carolina State. They are up 10 with under 8 minutes to go, trying to make Michigan the lone undefeated team in the land.
Marquette can't leave the basketball as they did on the last possession of Patterson. They must shift and guard next pass with active hands. They've done a pretty good job with it all afternoon long here in the 2-3 zone.
Patterson with 12 and Blue with 12 leading scorers this afternoon.
You see Ziegler getting into the lane, but not as confident off the bounce, coming with his left hand to the rim.
Anderson flashes high, dives to the rim, contact, knocked out of bounds, last touched by Pittsburgh.
No blood, no foul on that possession. Anderson came crashing in. He attacked Adams, trying to go to the big man to see if he'd resist with 3 fouls, and good rotation on the backside by Pittsburgh.
Both teams have played 10 guys today. In fact, for Marquette, they had 10 guys into the game in the first 4 minutes. The kick out to Vanderblue. And it will go over to Pittsburgh. There's some national news and notes for you. The 2 remaining unbeatens might be down to 1 shortly. Duke is down double digits. 6 Big Ten teams are ranked, and Minnesota getting throttled by Indiana this afternoon. Drops it off. J.J. Moore inside, tipped out of bounds by Adams.
Well, Pittsburgh recognized the switch on the ball screen at the top, and Moore had the point guard on him down the low box. He just didn't go strong enough. He's got that size advantage. He has to find an angle, get to the rim, and try to get fouled.
Go. Lockett in there. 1 blue jersey amongst the 4 white ones, and he comes out with it. And the ball chipped right to Adams, and now it's Pittsburgh on the run. Patterson. No, Adams with the follow.
That's how you run a fast break. You fill the lanes, you make the bounce pass. Even when you don't finish, you've got the big fella on the putback.
Just his second field goal of the day as Gardner gets inside for the tip.
Well, that's problematic for Pittsburgh. On the last possession, they had four around 1. Marquette came up with it in that play. Gardner just barreled into Adams and pushed him out of the way and tipped it in.
10 second chance points now for Marquette. Patterson. Corner J good from J.J. Moore.
Pittsburgh's getting a little loose on offense. They've got to tighten up the glass, though. That's been their staple over the years. Adams got to make sure he puts his big back on the bigger back that's in front of him than Gardner.
Wilson, elbow jumper, got it. Wilson's got 7.
Pittsburgh, not really a traditional 2-3 zone, not at all. They don't play a lot of it, but they play more of it this year. Now just allowing that high post area to be wide open. Wilson just stepping into the elbow, knocking it down.
Patterson's dribble drive got him into the lane, but couldn't hold it. Now Marquette. Seems like all they've done lately has been playing nail biters and headed towards another one here at Pitt. Wilson has gone the entire second half at the point. Knocked loose by Adams. Robinson, he'll pull up. Ping-ponged around. Panthers come away with it, and Moore is fouled. I believe they'll say it was before the shot.
J.J. Moore is an energy guy. He knocks down shots from the outside, but he's also been able to slide down to the baseline. He's important. Pitt needs his offense.
ESPNU's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy. What will you do in 5 hours? Well, we can't cover 5 hours for you, but we'll talk about the final 7 minutes and 3 seconds here this afternoon in a 3-point game. Marquette with the lead on the road at Pittsburgh. Beth Mowens along with Tim Welsh, and getting down to the nitty-gritty, Tim, and both sides may have to do it without their starting point guard. What do we look for here down the stretch?
Well, both guys are so important to their teams, in Woodall and Cadogan, but it's much easier to play without your leader at home. So you notice Pittsburgh, they're kind of settling in now. They're looking to run a little bit more. They have to tighten up the glass. So Marquette's really crashing the offensive boards, and Marquette has to settle down offensively. They've taken some quick shots in the last few possessions. They have to understand Cadogan's not going to lead them, so guys like Vanderblue and Todd Mayo have to help Wilson out on the floor. He's only a sophomore. He's not used to being in this position. He's done a very good job of running the team, but now it's going to get harder in the last 7 minutes.
Trey Woodall, concussed 4 minutes into the game, has not come back, and Junior Cadogan, an injury in the first half. He was able to return and play, but he has not been out on the court in the second half. Those two senior leaders that the coaches would love to look to down the stretch, but may not be able to.
We have to understand as well, though, James Robinson is the starting point guard for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's done a very nice job without his backcourt mate running the team. He's clearly missed Woodall, but Robinson is a heady customer out there on both ends of the floor.
Coming in with a 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. The 0 in the white jersey, and here he is up top. Looking at the 2-3 from Marquette. And the takeaway. 6 turnover for Pittsburgh.
Just nowhere to go with right there. You just kind of got to be more solid, understanding that don't pass the big guys the ball unless they can do something with it.
Foul down low on Dante Taylor. That's his second. Well, ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the NCAA tournament. Thursday night, a couple of teams from the Big Ten squaring off with Michigan and Minnesota. It's ESPN's Journey to the Tourney. Thursday at 7 on ESPN and live on the Watch ESPN app. Wilson, a couple of ball fakes, and a nice move to shake the defender for 2.
Oh, he left Zana standing there in his shoes. He's a little ball fake right, a little head fake, and up and at him. That's, you see the talent Wilson has. He should be a starter, but you got to understand he's got to play better all night long. Buzz Williams, he's got a bunch of talent.
Robinson checked by Wilson. Contact in the lane, offensive foul. So the last 2 possessions off the timeout, Pittsburgh turns it over.
Jamil Wilson on one end of the floor looked like a small forward in the NBA, and on the other end just giving up his body as Buzz Williams players always do. Great help side. And Robinson has to see the help a little sooner. He's got to drive in there with his head up.
Robinson and Wright go out. Ziegler comes on. And a lot of substitutions here for Pitt. We'll reset. Ziegler, Adams, Zana, Patterson, and Deron Johnson for the Panthers. Mayo, Wilson, the other Wilson, Gardner, and Lockett.
James Robinson will be out very long because this guard lineup is a little shaky for Pittsburgh.
Gardner, they bring the double team again. Gardner wants it back. Now Wilson calling for the screen. Wilson for 3. The tip by Gardner, no, and Ziegler clears.
Why Gardner's playing around with the ball. He's got to get back down the floor and guard Adams.
Johnson, triple, and it's a 2-point game. Timeout called by Pitt. Each side with 3 left.
Well, that plays on Devontae Gardner. He plays around with the basketball down the other end of the floor, and what does that do? That allows Pittsburgh to play 5 against 4. When the other team secures the rebound, you've got to run back and find your man. And when Gardner plays around at the rim, what happens? You see, Ziegler just runs by him. Marquette has to run out. It's a 5-on-4, and great recognition by Pittsburgh to attack and find numbers.
They have been good on the break and on the secondary break before the zone has been able to establish tonight. And a perfect example there, Johnson able to find the open space.
Well, that's a tired play there by Gardner. Buzz Williams has to be aware of that right now because Ziegler got the rebound and he just stood there, kind of took a little 5-second siesta. It's fake defense, but he gave up a 3 down the other end of the floor.
Well, you bring up a good point, Tim, because Devontae Gardner plays about 20 minutes per game. They don't like him out there for longer than that. He gets winded, and he is now over the 20-minute mark tonight, and we've still got 5 minutes to go. He's been terrific for them off the bench. One of their more efficient scorers at 13 points in 20 minutes. Slow up Wilson. Jamil Wilson with 5 on the shot clock. Weak side rebound, Lockett, blocked by Adams. Taken away by Marquette, and a whistle before the shot. Buzz Williams is livid. He wanted that basket to count. Zana is called for his second personal.
Pittsburgh doing a nice job defensively in the 5-on-5. They really forced a contested shot, but you see Lockett just out hustling Ziegler on the backside there. And Adams has the ball instead of securing it. Looks like he got tripped up by Lockett. If I'm Buzz Williams, I'd take the foul and turn around and say thank you, because it looked like Adams had his legs cut out from underneath him by Lockett. Caused the turnover. Don't push your luck. He's lucky he didn't get a foul.
Well, now they are saying that the foul will be charged to Ziegler on the contact before the shot. He leaves the game.
Ziegler's got to get his tail up on the glass, though, because Lockett's just beat him to that offensive rebound on the play before. And that came from the three-point line and in, and that's just effort. And right now, Lockett is doing a lot of the little things for Marquette.
Offensive rebound for Marquette today. Fresh 35 for Gardner. Here comes the double again. Gardner spins away from it, baseline, and lays it in.
Talk about making something out of nothing. It looked like he was buried inside. The trap was coming from the inside. He just found his way, lowered his shoulder and his side, and found that angle to the rim, slid it in there.
Patterson to Zana, short. One and done on that trip. Under 4 to go.
Like a tired shot from Zana. That's his spot over there on that short baseline. He just didn't use his legs.
Both benches productive today. Around half of the points provided from the reserves. Shot clock, 3:24 on the game clock.
Well, the big fella could find a way, making something out of nothing, just a little twist and turn. Chest bump.
3:24 to play here in Pittsburgh. Marquette on top, 52-48. Both sides continuing to play without their senior leader in the backcourt. Trey Woodall out for the game with a concussion. We have not seen Junior Cadogan in the second half with an injury he suffered earlier today. And for both points, Derek Wilson and James Robinson, just one turnover in the second half for those guys. They've done all right.
They've done a nice job. And you see James Robinson coming back in the game for Jamie Dixon after he committed that offensive foul, and he's so important because he's got to just make sure they run their stuff. I think their defense has been rock solid. Got to clean up a little bit on the glass, but Marquette have just an undeniable will today.
4 on the shot clock. Wilson will launch. And a foul here on Lockett as he hit Robinson's arm. Pittsburgh is in the bonus. Marquette not yet.
That was a very good play designed by Buzz Williams coming out of that timeout. And Jamie Dixon's toes were shrinking in his Gucci shoes over there because that was a real good look from the three-point line at the end of the clock.
From their top three-point threat, and Wilson unable to knock that one down. So now the one-on-one for Robinson. side has managed to get very far away from the other. It's been close all afternoon. Robinson a chance to make it a 2-point game.
Marquette's got away from running their sets, and they've used a lot of clock.
Pittsburgh will keep it. They try and catch Marquette off guard. Long rebound, and Gardner's got it. And he was immediately trapped. And did Buzz Williams get the timeout before a foul was committed? Yes, he did. Timeout Marquette. Each side with 2 left. The ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app. Coming up next, our Saturday showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy continues. We've got Texas and Iowa State. Tough to go into Ames and come out of there with a win. They've won 15 in a row at home.
See, on that last miss by Moore, he had a pretty good look coming out of the out of bounds. It was a quick shot, but it was an open look. The ball came off the rim and right inside the 3-point line, and everyone just kind of looked at it. It bounced up into the air, and Pitt was more worried about getting back on defense. I think they could have secured the offensive rebound.
Approaching 3 minutes to go. Marquette has already had 5 games this year decided by 5 points or less or overtime, including a stretch lately where everything has come right down to the wire. Vanderblue off the bounce. Adams comes over to help. Second block for the rookie. And it's Moore uncontested for 2.
Marquette now, I go not dribble penetrate and bring Adams in as a shot blocker. I go right at him one-on-one, make him play one-on-one defense, go into Gardner in the low box, see if he shies away or tries to present some resistance.
Wilson trying to get inside. Offensive rebound and a stick back for Gardner. 11 for Devontae off the bench.
They brought the shot blocker over. Adams came over, and what happens? Leaves Gardner wide open on the backside. No one from Pittsburgh rotated down for the shot blocker to block out Gardner.
Robinson gets the defender in the air and drills it. A warning for James Robinson. Ed Corbett said, hey, you do that again, you'll get a technical foul, as he knocked the ball away after he made the basket.
Well, you don't challenge the big fella. If you're going to go in there weak against the New Zealander, he'll say, no, thank you. Pittsburgh will run out very easily off those blocks.
Pitt's defense has taken away the 3-point shot. Marquette does not have one in the second half. They're 0 for 6. After going 5 for 7 in the first half.
They're not looking for Gardner at all down in the low box. I think he's been open a little bit down low.
Blue. In traffic. Off balance. Gets it to go.
That's all day. Vanderblue, one of the most improved players in the Big East. Just a guy who's made something out of nothing all afternoon, being able to find angles, and that time tremendous body control with under pressure.
He's got 14, and we have under a minute to go.
I look for Jamie Dixon to use a timeout if he doesn't like what he sees here in the first 10 seconds.
Johnson for 3. Gardner secures.
They've got a foul. I don't think they can let this run down. They've got a foul.
Foul committed at midcourt by Robinson, who also lost his shoe on the play. That's the second on Robinson, and that is now the 7th team foul. So Marquette to the free throw line for Derek Wilson, who has gone the entire second half on the court. 6 for 11 this season at the line.
Sure, that's the shot that Jamie Dixon would go home and say that was what we wanted, to try to tie or get us back in this game by Johnson. 15 seconds into the clock, kind of a forced three-pointer from a guy who's not a knockdown three-point shooter.
His stat sheet might not impress you, but I'm sure the coaching staff and his teammates are loving the job that Derek Wilson has done here in the second half, as he gets 1 of 2 and has steadied the ship without Cadogan. In the lane, and a foul on the drive will send Lamar Patterson to the strike.
That's a great coaching job by Jamie Dixon, having his team understand that you don't need a bad three. You'll take the three if it's open, but Patterson found a lane to the rim and just threw his body up there and almost got the and one.
Patterson's 1 for 2 at the line. Needs this to make it a 1-possession game again.
Pittsburgh may sub at the free throw here to set up their pressure, but they're going to leave this group in, and here comes Cam Wright.
No Chris Otule in the game for Marquette. He is their weakest free throw shooter, so Buzz Williams keeping the better free throw shooters on the floor right now for Marquette.
I'm going to give this pressure a little bit of a look first, I think, before they foul. I don't think they're going to foul right away. They may get one trap and then try to foul.
Pitt, by the way, has missed 8 free throws today. Gardner throws it away.
Again, that's very good coaching by Jamie Dixon. Getting a look at the pressure, understanding that Cadogan's on the sideline, the guy that makes him go against the press. Threw it to Gardner, their best free throw shooter. I think he was looking to get fouled. Instead, threw it into the band.
Threw it into the reptile room here at the Oakland Zoo.
Thought they'd get one trap, and Gardner doing a good job. Instead of just picking up his dribble, he should have just picked up his dribble. If he did, he could have held the ball there for a 4 count and probably would have got fouled, and he's an 80-plus free throw shooter. Instead, made the wrong move.
A couple of timeouts for Marquette, 1 for Pittsburgh. Both sides are shooting free throws in the 1-and-1. The possession arrow is with Marquette. 19.5 seconds remaining. And for Pittsburgh, if they do have to rely on the 3 at any point down the stretch here, 33% today, 35% on the season.
I think Pitt can continue their strategy and go find an open 3, maybe. They don't have a lot of knockdown shooters. Patterson may be the best guy to shoot a quick one or more, but attack the rim right away. Maybe the seasonal part. I think Marquette will be afraid to foul. Get the quick 2, call the timeout, set up your press again, and see if Marquette has that ability to handle it, which they did on the last possession.
Texas and Iowa State, they are on deck. And it has now gone final, by the way, in Raleigh this afternoon. NC State toppling Duke 84-76. Michigan, the final unbeaten, and they'll be at Ohio State tomorrow. 19.5, Pittsburgh down 3 with the ball.
So many teams will take bad threes and then they just lose the basketball game. I think Pitt will set a quick ball screen and try to attack the rim.
Robinson taking it inside, lost the handle, and has to call a timeout in the corner.
Now Pitt has no choice. Under 12 seconds to go. You can't play around with the clock. You got to try to get a quick 3. They'll try to set a flare screen on the perimeter, or maybe some 1 or 2 dribble handoffs and get Marquette napping on defense and try to bang in a 3. That's their only option.
And you'll note Trey Woodall is not in that huddle. Just to update you, their senior leader is out with a concussion he suffered earlier in the game, so they do not have him to rely on. Nor does Marquette have Junior Cadogan, who is out with an injury he suffered in the first half.
Having said that, they will, if they do get a quick two, the game isn't over, clearly. But the best strategy is you have to look for a three to see if Marquette, how they react on the perimeter. If in fact they don't switch out, maybe a Gardner gets switched out on a three-point shooter, on a Moore. Maybe you get lucky and you get wide open on the perimeter.
10 on the game clock, no shot clock here for Pittsburgh. And no timeout. They've got to get the ball inbound. They have to chuck it all the way down the other end of the floor. Robinson will pull up for three. No good. Knocked out of bounds to the Panthers. Still have 1.2 to go.
Well, special situations. Here's what you'll see. You'll see a double screen here at the elbow, and Deron Johnson or Patterson will flare out. Marquette gives too much help. You've got to be aware the backside sometimes is the most open as you get the defense turning their head to the inside. Sometimes the opposite corner can be a great place to get a quick three.
And Jamie Dixon takes the big guy out, gets another three-point shooter into the game, and Cameron Wright.
Patterson on the perimeter, they've got to be aware. There he is, he's wide open.
He's going to have a look at it for three to tie. He got it! Got himself lost in the shuffle, and then he found the range.
Oh my goodness, I mean, he couldn't be more wide open on a Saturday afternoon stroll through the park. This is what you dream of as a coach. The defense all turned in looking at the ball. Well, the guy with the ball out of bounds, you have to remind your team, the guy with the ball, he can't score. For some reason, they're not matched up at all, and someone's got to see that on the court or on the sideline and maybe even call a timeout. Just make sure your defense is set. You don't want to call a timeout to give Pittsburgh an opportunity to set up a play, but when you see your defense is lost out there on the floor, someone has to find out, and that's where they missed Junior Cadogan on the floor, because he would have got everybody matched up on the court. Marquette with two timeouts there, surprised, two timeouts, surprised they didn't recognize that from the bench and call a timeout to make sure absolutely that your defense is set and do what you want to do.
The reacts from Pitt. And Patterson gets a clean look, and he drills it.
Well, it's the 50-50 call from the sidelines. You don't want to give the other team the opportunity to design something, but when you have the lead, you must make sure your team understands exactly what you want on the floor defensively, especially when there's substitutions going on the other side of the floor. And clearly, when Pitt substituted, Marquette got confused and were not matched up properly to the best three-point shooter Pittsburgh has.
That'll get Pittsburgh now another timeout as we go into overtime. 3 for Marquette. The foul problems in the second half won't carry over into the OT. Nobody has more than 3 right now.
Well, I'm still astonished how wide open he was. I mean, you and I saw that sitting right here. I'm like, someone has to match up with him, and they didn't.
Both sides 1-0 in overtime games this year, and Pittsburgh controls the tap. Robinson, Ziegler, Patterson, Adams, and Moore in the white jerseys. Moore has it stripped loose. Down on the deck, Mayo is tied up. He'll be out there with Derek Wilson, Jamil Wilson. Otule returns to the Marquette lineup, along with Trent Lockett. And as we saw in the first half, it doesn't take long for a substitute to come in for Marquette. Gardner is back on.
Well, you know, you go through your game plans, your scouting reports, everything you do. And sometimes late in the game, You lose your mind as a player, you forget. You get so excited you're going to win a game, you get a little uptight. So you have to constantly remind your players about substitutions, about matchups, and about where you are, time and score on the floor.
We've been around the game for a long time, Tim. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that open on a last-second play coming on the inbounds before.
They didn't even design anything. He just stepped up and shot.
Knowing, by the way, that he was their best three-point shooter. Mayo almost banked one in from the corner. Patterson going to pull up the three. Short.
Well, how quickly you can lose favor with your coach. Jamie Dixon did not like that shot at all. From the hero to the guy who's just got the look from the sideline, because that was not a good shot. That was a great contest that time by Wilson. Patterson should have slowed down, make sure they ran offense.
Pittsburgh in the man. Mayo fouled on the backdoor cut by Robinson. And that is the third now on the freshman point guard. Both sides with 8 fouls, so still in the 1-and-1.
Talk about that last shot by Patterson in transition. I think Pittsburgh needs to try to go at Devontae Gardner a little bit. Just challenge him to see what kind of defender he will be on the low box against Adams. Now, Adams isn't a go-to guy on the low post, but he has quality moves when he gets angles, and Gardner's playing a lot of minutes today, a lot more than he normally does.
Blue gives Marquette the 2-point lead. Vander now with 16. He and Patterson, the leading scorers today. Into the lane, Ziegler. Trying to square up and knock it down. Jamil Wilson corrals it.
Flex offense here into a ball screen.
Gardner, as Adams was slow to recover from the hedge up top, and Devontae scores.
We talked about Gardner's condition. It looked like Adams was a little slow getting from the top of the key where he hedged on the ball screen on the retreat to the basket.
Gardner continues to play the extended minutes. They usually like to keep him around 20. He's over that into the overtime. As Robinson gets 2.
I think a lot of guys are gassed out here. Everybody's a little slow on the recovery, and that time Robinson just coming off that down screen real quick.
Blue in traffic. Fans wanted to walk. Held up on the drive by Moore. That's the second on JJ. Free throws coming for Vander.
Blue was fortunate on that last play, the previous set, where he just drove into traffic. He's got to be ready to kick the ball out to the three-point line to Lockett or Wilson.
17 now for Blue, 6 of 10 from the floor. He's got a triple, and he's 4 of 5 from the line so far today.
These guys from Marquette, they're rock solid tough. I mean, any other team that would give up a 3 like that after holding the lead for most of the second half would lose a lot of heart and will coming in overtime, but Marquette seemed to get stronger.
And that stings for Pitt fans. 8 missed free throws today for the Panthers in a tight game. That's a tired defender right there trying to reach around. Jamil Wilson, his 4th. So now the foul problems creeping back into the game under 2 minutes to go.
seen Marquette stay with their man for quite a long time now. If in fact, because of some foul situations, to go back to the 2-3 zone just to change it up and give Pitt another look.
More 85% on the season. Missed it. And Adams offensive rebound. And he is fouled on the shot. Let's see if the officials will look at this for a potential goaltend. Does not appear so. They're just going to go ahead and give him the 2 free throws. The 3rd foul on Lockett.
Great effort by Adams here on the jumping over the top. And probably not a foul that Marquette should have committed. I would say that Steven Adams wouldn't make half of those shots. Kind of an off-balance twister in the lane, but got bailed out. But on the other side of that, he struggles from this spot as well.
Only 33% on the season. Missed them both. Wilson playing the entire second half in the OT today. Replacing the injured junior Cadogan. This is getting old hat for Marquette. A 1-point win against Georgetown in their last game. An overtime win prior to that against UConn. Another extra session today. Oh, good hustle by Lockett, who has been making those plays all afternoon. Wilson off the window.
Lockett, give him the 4-star award for plays that aren't in the box score. Hustle deluxe. Made it for Marquette.
Moore, nice ball fake and offensive foul. Devontae Gardner mobbed by his teammates under the basket.
Well, here's Lockett again, making the little things happen for Buzz Williams and Wilson. A twist in the lane, and here's Gardner. Throwing that big body in front.
Got a hold before the inbound pass on Deron Johnson. Deron Johnson whistled for the foul. Well, let's check on the feet right there of Gardner on that last charge call. Where are his heels? They are not on the arc, so that was the only other thing to check for there.
Pretty quickly for a big fella. And, you know, we talked about his conditioning. He hasn't labored at all in transition. He had that one play where he kind of hung back and cost his team a 3-pointer. But other than that, he's done a lot of good things for Marquette.
He'll be close to 30 minutes on the floor tonight.
That's the best thing. If the team wins, you say, Coach, wait a minute. I'm fine. I can start. I can play 35 minutes.
Robinson, foul, stops the clock with 57.9 to go.
Well, if in fact Marquette does go on to win this game, you've got to give Buzz Williams a ton of credit, because the hardest thing to do as a coach, especially on the road, is when you blow a lead, especially the way they did, and to kind of gather your ball club to come out with composure and keep playing for another 5 minutes and not worried what just happened. Don't worry about it. It already happened. We'll clean that up when we get back to Milwaukee and make sure it never happens again and learn from it, but still understand we can go win this basketball game.
Well, they were the one that forced the overtime with the late 3 in the UConn game that they won in OT, and today it was Pitt. As we take another look at the foul on Jamil Wilson, his 5th, by the way. So Wilson is out. He will be replaced by Todd Mayo.
Jamil Wilson just played outstanding today, both against the zone. He was an important guy that flashed into that elbow area. He's a very good shooter. He stretched the defense. He drove. And defensively was real active on the baseline for Marquette.
They might not have the player of the year this season like they did in Jay Crowder, but they have a lot of guys who know their role and are more than happy to play it. as long as the team succeeds.
Well, I was just disappointed that we couldn't come to a Marquette shoot-around because of the early start. They didn't have one this morning because it's usually one of my favorite things to do is come and watch these guys beat each other's brains in on the day of game day shoot-around. But that's the mentality that Buzz Williams expects from his basketball team, and he gets it. And it starts with their training camp that they have in the preseason, and it just continues on all season long, and they just play tough. And that's why their mentality has been good here in overtime.
They're trying to get their 5th win in a row, and then 3 of their next 4 would be at home, where they have an 18-game home court winning streak, 5th best in the country. And to do it with that picture right there, Junior Cadogan staring over the coach's shoulder for this entire second half at OT. And I'm sure for Marquette fans, hoping that the injury is not serious enough to keep him on the sideline for much longer.
Derek Wilson has run the club perfectly on the offensive end. He hasn't tried to do too much. He knows his role. But I've been even more impressed defensively. He's put strong ball pressure right over the top and plays 14 minutes a game, and he hasn't come out. Played the entire second half in overtime. He's just been real strong for Buzz Williams on both ends and leadership-wise as well.
Mayo gets 1 of 2, 17 for 22 on the day, and that's enough to give Buzz a bit of a headache right there. The foul that they really didn't care to have. It's going to be on Trent Lockett, his 4th. Oh, and that gives Pitt a chance to get back in it at the line.
Let's not forget that Marquette did turn it over against Pitt's pressure at the end of regulation, so Pitt's going to give them a little look if they can make some free throws.
And therein lies the problem for the Panthers. They are now 13 makes and 12 misses at the stripe. Missed them both. Zana rebounds. Second effort, no. And it's Marquette ball.
It's not easy to secure those rebounds when those misses come off so high and kind of wacky type bounces off the top. You've really got to do a great job of blocking out.
They were not real good at the free throw line in regulation, was Pittsburgh, and even worse here in the OT. 2 of 7 at the line in the extra session. In a 7-point game that Marquette will try and extend.
Marquette's guards have just proven to be just a little bit more skilled than what Pittsburgh's been able to do without Trey Woodall out on the perimeter with Vander Blue and Todd Mayo, and Jamil Wilson's been outstanding as well.
9 guys have scored today for Marquette. 7 different guys have assisted. 9 others have at least 1 rebound. Total team effort from the Golden Eagles this afternoon, trying to overcome that Lamar Patterson buzzer beater that tied it at the end of regulation. Nice spin by Robinson, lefty lay-in, no. Marquette holding Pitt to just 4 points in OT, and that last foul will get the faithful up out of their seats and start heading for the exits.
More answers offensively was the key for Marquette throughout this basketball game. They had better balance. Started in the first half knocking down some threes, but they also ran on opportunity. They slashed. They broke Pittsburgh down off the bounce, and a lot of toughness plays down the stretch. Lockett, Mayo, Vander Blue, and then Derek Wilson. Can't say enough about what he did as a backup point guard stepping into the main role this afternoon.
The other thing that Buzz Williams is going to like is the rebounding advantage today for Marquette, which usually doesn't happen against Pittsburgh. They've been strong in that department throughout the Dixon era, and the three-pointer is good for the Panthers. trying to stay alive. And the foul committed on Vanderblue. For Pittsburgh, they had won 15 of their last 16 here at home. And, the threat right now that they will drop to 1-3 in the league. They have Villanova, UConn, Providence, and DePaul coming up in the next couple of weeks. Patterson hits the three again. 14 seconds to go. Timeout, Panthers. That will be their last timeout. Down 2 possessions. Here's what Marquette has coming up, including a couple of games on ESPNU at Cincinnati and at South Florida still to go this month.
Well, if they can hold on today, that'll be a big positive for Buzz Williams. Number one, anytime you went on the road in the league, and after you blew the lead and had to go to overtime, but more importantly, they hadn't had any road success. They've only had 2 tests this year, and they failed them both. So your first win on the road is so important for confidence.
And there is Pittsburgh. You can catch them again on ESPNU Wednesday at Villanova. And the Cats, let's see, they lost on the road today, so they go to 2-1 in the league. Syracuse got them up in the Carrier Dome. The Orange go into 3-0 in the league. But Syracuse losing James Sutherland with an eligibility issue. Not certain how long he will be gone.
Clearly, the thing to look at as you move forward with the Pittsburgh schedule is the availability of Trey Woodall. And we saw what type of season Pittsburgh had last year, even when he came back, but he wasn't healthy. It's just so important. Just his leadership, and he's their coach on the floor.
It was a head-to-head hit. Woodall and Derek Wilson diving for a loose ball in just the 4th minute of the game this afternoon, and Woodall unable to return. The senior out of Brooklyn. Top 10 all-time in assists at Pittsburgh. He's getting close to 1,000 points in his career. And Panther fans hope to have him back quickly. Foul with 12.6 to go.
Well, Marquette just seems to play the same way from year after year, even though we talked about they don't have a Darius Johnson, Oldham, or a Jay Crowder. They pass the ball, they share the ball, they play in-your-face defense. Today they rebounded and they made shots, which they haven't done consistently all season long from the perimeter.
Cadogan, he might as well have the suit and tie on today, because he has been coaching right along with all of the assistants in Buzz's ear the entire second half and the overtime, doing whatever he could to help this Marquette team win, even though he wasn't able to play.
I'm sure he'll get a chance professionally somewhere, but when that ends, I wouldn't doubt that he has a suit on and he's on the staff of Buzz Williams. I know he thinks that much of it.
Big road win for Marquette. In fact, their first true road win of the season, as they beat Pittsburgh in overtime, 74-67. Now let's get you out to Hilton Coliseum in Iowa State for the Cyclones and the Texas Longhorns.